Close your eyes and listen, not to the noise of the world, not to the doubts that rise like fog in the silence. Listen to the quiet voice within you, the one you've ignored for far too long. That voice is not weak. It's not lost. It is ancient, powerful, relentless. It is the voice of purpose, buried under years of noise, fear, hesitation. And tonight, it rises. You were not born to drift. You were not born to settle. You were not born to survive. You were born to create, to shape, to transform this world through the sheer force of your will. It doesn't matter what the world told you. It doesn't matter what your teachers missed, what your parents feared, what society tried to tame in you. Beneath it all is the blueprint of greatness, waiting to be built with your hands, your hunger, your discipline. Because success is not inherited, it is not stumbled into, it is summoned, forged, demanded from the universe by those who refuse to back down. Think of Edison, 10,000 failures. 10,000 times he could have walked away and no one would have blamed him. But he didn't walk away because he wasn't chasing light bulbs. He was chasing belief. And belief is the first building block of achievement, not talent, not connections, belief. What do you believe about yourself? That one question will define your future more than any diploma, resume, or recommendation letter ever could, because belief is the architect of reality. What you allow yourself to believe becomes the boundary of what you dare to attempt, and what you attempt is the gate to what you become. You can have a mountain of potential, but if belief is a whisper, you'll never climb. So tonight, as you lay still, I want you to strip away everything they told you you weren't. Remove the titles, remove the doubts, remove the failures, the labels, the lies, and ask yourself, what do I truly believe I am capable of? Because if you can answer that, not with your voice, but with your soul, you will awaken something immortal inside you. This is not a bedtime story. This is a battle cry for your mind, and it begins with clarity. Clarity is the torch in the darkness. Without it, we stumble, we react, we exist. But with clarity, we cut through the fog, we move with precision, we live with intent. The world is full of people chasing what they don't understand. They chase money without purpose, fame without values, validation without identity. They run full speed toward destinations that were never meant for them, and then wonder why it feels empty when they arrive. Don't run blindly. Close your eyes tonight and ask, what is it that calls to me when the world is quiet? That calling, that whisper, is not random. It is the coordinates of your destiny. Clarity is not about knowing every step of the path. It's about knowing the direction of your heart, the North Star that doesn't move when storms arrive, because storms will come. The winds of failure, the rains of rejection, the thunder of fear, they are not signs that you are lost. They are confirmations that you are alive. And if you can hold your vision through the darkness, you will find the discipline to keep walking when most turn back. Discipline, the quiet muscle of the greats, the unsexy truth of every legend. It is not a talent. It is not a gift. It is a decision made every single day in silence, when no one is watching. Discipline is Carnegie waking before sunrise when others slept. It is Ford building when no one believed. It is Lincoln reading by candlelight when the world around him was falling apart. It is not motivation. It is not inspiration. It is commitment. Relentless, tireless, ruthless commitment to a higher standard, one that most people are too afraid to demand from themselves. But you are not most people. You wouldn't be here if you were. You're listening because some part of you, maybe a small, quiet part, knows that you were built for more, that you've played small long enough, that the world has not yet seen what happens when you stop doubting and start deciding to take responsibility, because that's the cornerstone of all success. Radical, unshakable responsibility. No blaming, no waiting, no wishing. Every setback, yours. Every delay, yours. Every breakthrough, yours. Because once you own everything, you can change anything. Responsibility is power. It means you no longer live at the mercy of chance. You become the cause, not the effect. The driver, not the passenger. Most people live as passengers in their own lives. They react, they explain, they justify. But you are being asked to rise as the cause, to take the wheel with bloody hands and say, I don't care what this road looks like, I will shape it as I go. This is the philosophy that built empires, that pulled men from poverty into legacy, that turned invisible dreams into monuments of success. And it begins not tomorrow, not next week, not when things are easier. It begins tonight, now, right here in the dark, as you close your eyes, as your body softens, your mind must sharpen, because the world does not reward comfort. It rewards creation. What are you creating? A life of regrets or a life of results? You don't get both. And it doesn't matter how many times you've failed. It doesn't matter if you're broke, tired, late, scared, lost. What matters is this: are you willing to begin again? Every day is a resurrection. You rise, you decide, you build, and when your back aches, your eyes blur, your voice trembles, you keep building. Because the mind, when aligned with purpose, becomes unstoppable. But only if you feed it, guard it, sharpen it like a sword. Which brings us to the next truth: the power of thought. Your thoughts are not harmless. They are not background noise. They are the tools, the weapons, the architects of everything you are becoming. Every fortune began with a thought. Every empire began with an idea. And every failure, every fall, it too began in the mind. The moment doubt was allowed to linger, to multiply, to poison the belief that once burned bright. Do not entertain thoughts that betray your vision. Do not cradle excuses like their friends. Do not let fear dress itself in logic and call it realism. You must think higher, speak higher, walk higher. You must demand excellence, not from the world, but from the mirror. And that demand must be made in silence, in struggle, in solitude, because success is not loud. It is a whisper that echoes across decades, built in moments like this, when the world is asleep and you are not. You are here, listening, breathing, rising. You are the storm they don't see coming. The storm is not chaotic. It is focused. It is not noise. It is force. And that force lives in you. It lives in the choices no one sees, the ones made in silence, in shadow, when the temptation to drift is strongest. Understand this: drifting is the enemy. Napoleon Hill called it out nearly a century ago. He said the masses don't fail because they lack talent or luck. They fail because they drift. They let days slip. They let thoughts wander. They follow the easy, the immediate, the comfortable. And comfort is the slowest poison of all. It dulls the edges of hunger. It puts purpose to sleep. It whispers, "You're fine," when everything inside you is screaming, "You were built for more." Drifting is not peace. It's paralysis. But direction is power. When you wake up with a purpose, when you go to sleep with a vision, when your steps are aligned with something higher, you become a magnet for momentum. And momentum is sacred, because once it starts, once you light that first match, take that first step, follow through on that first promise, something changes. You move from thought to creation, from wishing to becoming. But don't wait for permission. Don't wait for the world to clear your path. Don't wait for the critics to disappear or for the applause to arrive. The applause always comes late, and it always forgets where you started. It didn't clap for Ford when he went bankrupt. It didn't cheer for Disney when he was laughed out of his first studio. It didn't lift Lincoln when he lost election after election. But they kept going, not because of praise, but because of principle. They were moved by an inner law, a fire no one else could see. And that fire burned hotter than rejection, deeper than fatigue, louder than fear. You have that fire too. Don't pretend you don't. It might be buried, it might be dim, but it's there, and it's waiting for fuel. Fuel it with vision, with discipline, with action, because action is how we translate the invisible into the inevitable. And don't mistake movement for progress. Most people are busy. Most people are exhausted. But busyness is not the same as building. You don't get points for motion. You get power from momentum, from intentional, aligned, purposeful action. One page written in focus is worth more than 100 scattered thoughts. One workout, finished with fire, reshapes more than a dozen skipped intentions. One phone call made with courage can change the trajectory of your life. But that only happens when you rise above fear. Fear is the oldest lie we tell ourselves. It says, what if you fail? It says, what if they laugh? It says, what if you're not enough? But here's the truth. Fear is a compass. If you are afraid of it, it's probably the direction you need to go. Fear doesn't show up when you're safe. It shows up when you're standing at the threshold of growth, of risk, of change. And the only way through fear is through it. No amount of waiting will make it smaller. No amount of overthinking will make it disappear. You must act anyway. Action dissolves fear, not confidence, not success, not luck. Action. Because the moment you move, the mind follows. The moment you begin, the myth unravels. You don't need more courage. You need more clarity. Clarity about what matters more than your comfort. When the goal is bigger than the fear shrinks. When the vision is louder than the voice of doubt, the doubt breaks. So make your vision louder. Speak it, write it, see it in your mind so vividly that it becomes more real than your reality. And then align your behavior until it matches that image. Because the mind cannot hold contradiction. If you feed it a vision of power, but live with patterns of weakness, it will fracture. But if you speak power, and walk power, and decide with power, you become power. That is the great secret. You are not waiting for success to find you. You are becoming the version of you who can receive it. And becoming is not passive. It's not automatic. It's war. War against laziness. War against distraction. War against the voice that says you'll never change. You must wake up every day and prove it wrong. You must remind yourself, not through affirmation, but through action, that you are not who you were. You are who you decide to be. And every morning is a vote. Every night is a reflection. Right now in this silence, your subconscious is listening. It is open. It is absorbing every word you hear, every image you hold. This is your moment to rewrite the script. You are not broken. You are building. You are not late. You are learning. You are not done. You are rising. But you must rise with standards. The world doesn't give you what you ask for. It gives you what you tolerate. What are you tolerating? Mediocrity, excuses, people who dim your fire, habits that drain your strength. Tonight is the line in the sand. Because you don't rise to your goals, you fall to your standards. And if your standards are low, your results will never rise. Raise them, ruthlessly. What time you wake up, what food you eat, what thoughts you entertain, what people you allow near your energy. Treat your mind like royalty, and watch your life rise to match it. You must be deliberate, focused, devoted, not to the grind, but to the growth. There's a difference. Grinding burns you. Growth builds you. Growth is not about doing more, it's about becoming more. And becoming starts with identity. You must stop trying to get results with the mindset of your past. You cannot create a masterpiece with the tools of a victim. You must claim a new identity, not when the world accepts it, but when you decide it. I am disciplined. I am focused. I am a finisher. I am unstoppable. Not because it's already true, but because the decision makes it true. Identity is a decision reinforced by repetition. Decide who you are, then prove it. Every morning, every moment, every setback, especially the setbacks, because those are the tests. Those are the moments when the universe asks, do you really want this? And your answer is not in your words, it's in whether you keep going. Will you? Will you keep walking when no one is watching? Will you rise when no one claps? Will you build when no one believes? That is the test of the few, the test of greatness. And you are not here to be average. You are not here to just survive and sleep and start over. You are here to shape something eternal, a life, a legacy, a mind that cannot be shaken by time or trial. You are not a leaf in the wind. You are the mountain it breaks against. You are the fire that does not go out. You are becoming what you were always meant to be. You are becoming what you were always meant to be. But to become, you must let go. Let go of the weight you've carried, the guilt, the shame, the stories that no longer serve you. You are not your past. You are not the scars. You are not the failures stitched into yesterday. You are the author, and the pen is still in your hand. Forgive yourself. Not because you're weak, but because you're done wasting energy on a version of you that no longer exists. Forgiveness is fuel. It clears the fog. It unchains your potential. Do you think Carnegie built steel empires while clinging to regret? Do you think Oprah rose from trauma while rehearsing her pain? No, they chose to carry lessons, not luggage. And so must you. Carry wisdom, carry hunger, carry the vision of the life you know you were born for. But leave behind the narratives that slow your climb. You owe no one your explanation. You owe everyone your example. And your example starts with gratitude. Not the shallow kind, not the social media version, the sacred kind, the kind that humbles your soul. Gratitude is a weapon. It turns lack into power. It turns frustration into focus. It takes what is and reveals what could be. You cannot create from bitterness. You cannot grow from a place of resentment, but the moment you anchor in gratitude for the struggle, for the silence, for the chance to try again, the world begins to open. Gratitude unlocks vision, because vision is not what you see, it's how you see, and how you see determines what you build. See struggle, and you will find excuses. See opportunity, and you will find strength. Perspective is the lens of creation. Change it, and you change your world. There are people with less than you who have done more than you, not because they had more resources, but because they had more resourcefulness. They believed in the possibility of change. Do you? Do you believe that 1 year from now your entire life could look unrecognizable, not because of fate, but because of focus, because it can? You are one habit away from breakthrough, one relationship away from acceleration, one decision away from momentum, but you have to be ready to receive it. And readiness doesn't come from hoping, it comes from preparing. You don't pray for the opportunity and then waste the day scrolling. You don't say you want greatness and then sleep through your potential. You build the container. You sharpen the tools. You become the version of you that the dream is waiting for. Success doesn't visit the unprepared. It lands where the soil is tilled, where the roots run deep, where the foundation is strong. And that foundation is built in obscurity. Don't despise the season of silence. Don't curse the lonely hours. Don't fear the chapter where no one sees your effort. That is where the roots grow. That is where discipline deepens. That is where character is carved. You don't rise in front of the world. You rise when no one's watching. And when you finally emerge, they won't understand how you got there. Let them wonder. Let them ask. But never explain, because they didn't see the nights like this, where you fed your mind instead of your fears, where you chose growth over comfort, where you listened to the voice no one else could hear and followed it anyway. That voice, it's still speaking. It's the voice of resilience. And resilience is not resistance. It's not just surviving. It's the ability to bend without breaking, to adapt without losing your core. Life will hit you again and again. You will lose things, people, plans, versions of you that you once believed were permanent. But loss does not define you. How you respond does. Will you contract, or will you expand? Will you hide, or will you rebuild? Because what breaks you is not the weight. It's the story you tell yourself about the weight. Change the story, and you change the outcome. Tell yourself, this is shaping me. Tell yourself, this is my training ground. Tell yourself, this is not the end. This is the beginning of something greater. And then act like it. Because the body will follow where the mind leads. Move your body like you believe. Stand like you have purpose. Walk like you are being watched by the future version of yourself, the one who already made it, already conquered, already became everything you said you would, because they're waiting. Your future is waiting. Not with crossed arms and judgment, but with open hands and invitation. It's saying, come, come become who you were born to be. But hurry, time waits for no one. It is the one currency you can't earn back. You can make more money. You can build more relationships. You can even rebuild a broken body. But you cannot recover a wasted year. You cannot buy back the mornings you snoozed through your calling. So treat time as sacred. Treat it like the breath of life it is. Use it to read, to build, to heal, to learn, to invest in the version of you who doesn't just chase dreams, but catches them. Learning is the lifeblood of growth. You don't know enough. No one does. But humility unlocks mastery. The moment you say, I know this, you stop growing. The moment you say, teach me, you start evolving. Be teachable. Read every day, not because it's trendy, but because your mind deserves more than junk food. Study the greats, not to copy them, but to understand how greatness thinks. Ask better questions. Surround yourself with minds that challenge you, not flatter you. If you're the smartest in the room, change rooms, because your environment is either a cage or a catalyst. And if you've been living caged by fear, by comfort, by mediocrity, you can walk out. Not tomorrow, now. The key has always been in your pocket. It's action. Bold, unapologetic, decisive action. And that action begins tonight. That action begins tonight. Not in the morning, not when it's convenient, not when everything is perfectly aligned. It begins the moment you decide that your future matters more than your fears. The moment you decide that enough is enough. You've waited long enough. You've doubted long enough. You've negotiated with your potential like it owes you something, when in truth, it's you who owes it everything. And the price is discipline, sacrifice, commitment, the kind of commitment that doesn't flinch, that doesn't pause for applause, that doesn't ask for reassurance every step of the way. You commit, not because it's easy, but because it's right, because a life of drifting is no longer an option, because your dream is not just an idea, it's a duty. You were given this vision for a reason. Don't let it rot in procrastination. Don't bury it beneath excuses and fear of judgment. You are not here to blend in. You are here to break through. You are the chain breaker in your lineage, the cycle ender, the one who said it stops with me. You You are not repeating history. You are rewriting it. You are not becoming your parents' regrets or society's predictions. You are becoming your decision, made in fire, sealed in silence, proven in motion. And motion must be sacred, not reactive, not scattered, intentional. Your time, your energy, your breath, all must align with where you say you're going. You don't have to do everything. You just have to do what matters and do it well. Focus is the ultimate amplifier. Most people are drowning in distraction, starving for depth, addicted to noise, but not you. You are learning to listen, not to the world, but to the whisper inside. You are learning to focus, not just on tasks, but on truth. And the truth is, you've always known what to do. You just haven't trusted yourself enough to do it. So trust yourself now, because self-trust is the root of all power. When you trust yourself, you don't need validation. You don't need permission. You don't even need certainty. You move because you said you would, and that's enough. Self-trust is a quiet revolution. It's the inner nod that says, even if I fall, I'll rise. It's the calm in chaos, the stillness in noise, the eye of the storm, unmoved, unbothered, unbreakable. And you become that through repetition. Not once, not twice, every day. Consistency is the chisel that carves greatness, not talent, not bursts of energy, not inspiration when it happens to show up, but that decision to return every single day, to write the page, to make the call, to show up to the gym, to open the book, to sit in silence and ask what's the next right move, because it's not the size of your steps that matter, it's the direction. You don't need to sprint, you need to stay pointed forward. You don't need 10 steps ahead, you need one, and the discipline to take it. And once you take that step, you've already won, because the version of you who acts, who moves, who executes is no longer a dream. They are real, alive, present. They are you, right now, breathing, listening, becoming. This is no longer motivation. This is memory, being written in real time, and it's writing something new, not a life of regret, but of intention, not a life of fear, but of fire, not a life of what if, but of I did. Because when it's all over, when your name is no longer spoken, when the lights go out and the records fade, there will be one echo that remains. The impact you made, the lives you touched, the limits you shattered. That is your legacy, and you are building it now. Legacy is not for the elite. It's not reserved for the famous. Legacy is the daily choice to live aligned with your higher self. It is the hand you hold, the habit you keep, the story you rewrite every time you get back up. And you will get back up, because you will fall. That's not a curse, that's a promise. But failure is not a tomb. It is a tool. It refines, it reveals, it teaches. Welcome it. Lean into it. Let it strip away your ego and expose the parts of you that are still growing. Failure is feedback, and the successful listen. They don't run. They don't hide. They don't blame. They learn. They adjust. They evolve. And that's how they rise. Every single time. So rise. Tonight, rise in your mind. Rise in your spirit. Rise in your identity. You don't need applause. You don't need clarity. You just need a moment. This moment to decide, I'm not going back. Not to excuses, not to half effort, not to small thinking, not to the version of me that waited for a sign instead of becoming one, because I am the signal, I am the standard, I am the evidence that something greater is possible, not someday, now. I am the evidence that something greater is possible, not someday, now. The time of waiting is over, the time of wondering is done. You are not here to hope, you are here to declare. You are not lost, you are becoming. Every breath you take in alignment with your vision is a step forward. Every moment you resist the pull of mediocrity, you build muscle. And here's what they never tell you. Discipline is love. Discipline is the highest form of self-respect. It says I am worth the effort. My vision is worth protecting. My future is worth the pain of today, and pain will come. Growth doesn't ask for comfort. It demands sacrifice. You must let go of things that feel good now for things that will serve you later. You must let go of shallow approval for deep integrity. Let go of distraction for devotion. Let go of trying to please everyone and commit to pleasing the one person who has to live with your decisions. You. When you close your eyes at night, when no one is around, that's who you face. That's who you answer to. Not the algorithm, not the followers, not your boss, not your critics. You, and only you know whether you gave it everything, whether you held the line, whether you showed up for your future, or played small for your comfort. You know. So tonight, commit to making yourself proud, not by doing everything, not by being perfect, but by being honest. Honest with your time, honest with your attention, honest with the gap between who you are and who you're becoming, and walking toward that future self with relentless humility, because humility is not weakness. Humility is strength, focused, It is the mind that says, I don't know it all, but I'm willing to learn. It's the heart that says, I've fallen before, but I'm rising anyway. It's the soul that says, there's more to me than they've seen, and I'm just getting started. That kind of humility rewrites futures. It separates the stagnant from the unstoppable, because the world will throw distractions at you. It will offer comfort wrapped in chaos. It will tempt you with ease, and pressure you with urgency that isn't yours. But the grounded mind stays calm. The humble mind stays curious, and the disciplined mind stays on path. So let this be the night you reclaim your mind. Take back your focus. Withdraw your energy from people, habits, thoughts that drain you, and reinvest it into who you're becoming. Read more, reflect more, say no more often. Every no to what doesn't serve you is a yes to the life you're building. You don't have to do more. You have to do less, better. Cut the noise, silence the guilt, and choose what aligns with your core. Because deep down you know what matters. You always have. This world will try to bury you in options. But success is not in having more, it's in choosing well. You don't need every tool, just the right ones. You don't need every opportunity, just the aligned ones. You don't need to be everything, just you, fully, powerfully, and unapologetically. So start there, with you, with your breath, with this moment. Let the past go. Let the weight fall off your shoulders. You don't need to carry yesterday into tomorrow. You are allowed to begin again, not because you failed, but because you're ready. Ready to stop performing, ready to stop pretending, ready to stop apologizing for wanting more. Because more is not greed, it's growth, and growth is your birthright. The tree doesn't apologize for reaching toward the sun. The river doesn't explain why it carves mountains in its path. Neither should you. You were not born to be small. You were born to stretch, to rise, to expand beyond every limit they handed you. And that expansion starts within. Don't wait for the world to believe in you. Believe in yourself so deeply, so fiercely, that the world has no choice but to follow. Because belief is contagious. It spreads from your words, to your walk, to your work, to your results. And results don't lie. They reflect what you tolerated, what you chose, what you became. And if you don't like what you see, good. That means you're awake. Awake enough to change, to course correct, to say this version of me was necessary, but it's not final. There is no final, only deeper alignment, sharper focus, stronger standards. You are evolving. Every breath is a chance to turn the page, and tonight you write a new chapter. The chapter where you don't give up, where you don't check out, where you don't lower your standards just to be accepted. This chapter is about transcendence, not escape, not numbing, transcendence. The act of rising above circumstances, of outgrowing old patterns, of awakening to the power that's been inside you all along. It's there. It's always been there. And now you feel it, not just as a thought, but as a knowing. You are capable of more, and now you're becoming it. You are capable of more, and now you're becoming it. Not with noise, not with fanfare, but with quiet, focused becoming. You don't need to shout about it. The world will notice. The results will speak. The energy will shift. The people meant for this new version of you, they will appear. And the ones who were only there for the older version, they will fall away. Let them. This evolution is not for everyone. It's not for the comfortable. It's not for the passive. It's not for the ones who need every step guaranteed before they move. This path is for the builders, the dreamers, the doers, the ones who know nothing changes until I change. And so they rise, they stretch, they shed the layers that no longer serve them. They burn bridges, not out of hate, but out of clarity. Because once you've seen your future, you can't unsee it. Once you've tasted alignment, chaos loses its flavor. Once you've felt the fire, you can never go cold again. That's what's happening now. This isn't motivation. This is activation. You are being recalled to your own power. You are being summoned by the future that's been waiting for you to get serious. So ask yourself right now, in this quiet, what am I done tolerating? What am I done negotiating? What have I been putting off that I know my future needs? No more delays, no more bargaining with fear, no more shrinking your goals to match your environment. From this moment on, your environment must rise to match your standards. If it doesn't, you move. If they don't grow, you grow anyway, because your potential does not depend on their permission. You owe no one your dimming. You owe yourself your full flame. Let it burn. Let it guide. Let it consume the old patterns and excuses and attachments that have kept you stuck. This is your ignition point. From here forward, you do not touch anything that dilutes your vision. Not habits, not distractions, not relationships. Your energy is sacred. Your future is sacred. You do not pour yourself into people who poke holes in your container. You do not beg to be understood by those committed to misunderstanding you. You do not wait at doors that were never built for your entrance. You build your own. That's what leaders do. That's what visionaries do. That's what the ones we read about in history books did. They didn't follow trends. They didn't chase validation. They built while others doubted, and eventually the world couldn't ignore them. That's the road you're on. It's not easy, but it's yours. And when it's yours, you don't need it to be easy. You just need it to be true. And truth will cost you. It will cost you comfort. It will cost you the illusion of safety. It will cost you the identity you wrapped around your fears. But in return, you get freedom. You get peace. Not because life is easy, but because you're finally aligned. You get to sleep with a quiet mind and a strong heart. You get to wake up with fire, not dread. You get to look in the mirror and trust who you see. And no number, no title, no follower count can give you that. Only alignment can. So check in with yourself. Am I walking my talk? Am I showing up for the person I say I want to be? Because the world doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you embody. And if you don't embody it, you don't become it. That's why tonight is not about motivation. It's about transformation. It's about peeling away the layers that never belonged to you. It's about listening to the voice under the noise. The one that says, yes, this is the path. Keep going. It's about falling asleep, not with doubt, but with direction. Because now you know who you are, you know where you're going, you know that every setback is part of the process, that every delay is refining you, that every moment you don't quit is carving out the future that's waiting on the other side of this season. It's there, waiting, not for someone more talented, not for someone more lucky, for you, the one who stayed the course. The one who learned the lessons, the one who built the muscle, the one who didn't give up when no one was clapping. You are that person. And now, with this clarity in your chest, with this stillness in your mind, with this fire beneath your ribs, you rest, not because you're tired, but because you're ready, ready to rise, ready to build, ready to walk into a future so aligned, so bold, so you, that the world won't ask, who do you think you are? They'll know. Not because you told them, but because your life will, your habits will, your results will. You won't need to announce your arrival. Your alignment will make the noise for you. And that's the power you carry now, even as you drift into sleep. Because this isn't the end. This is the beginning of your return. The return to your truth. The return to your power. The return to the version of you that was always waiting, just beneath the fear, beneath the delay, beneath the distraction. The return to the dream that once kept you up at night and now carries you forward with peace. So sleep tonight knowing you have chosen a different path. A path not of pressure, but of purpose. A path not of perfection, but of presence. A path where every breath is sacred. Every step is intentional. Every day is a chance to walk closer to the highest expression of who you are. You don't need to rush. You don't need to compare. Your only competition is the version of you who chose comfort instead of courage. And tonight, you chose courage. You showed up. You listened. You remembered who you are. And who are you? You are the storm they didn't expect. You are the calm in the chaos. You are the builder, the warrior, the soul who remembers that pain is part of the process, that fear is a compass, not a stop sign, that failure is just the sharpening of greatness, and most of all, remembers that your life is yours, not to survive, to shape, not to endure, to ignite, not to shrink, to lead. So as your body softens, as your mind releases, as your breath slows, you enter a rest, not of escape, but of recovery, because you have a mission, and warriors don't run, they rest with purpose. So sleep deeply, sleep peacefully. Let every word settle into your bones, into your bloodstream, into your spirit, because when you rise tomorrow, you will not be the same. You will rise clearer, stronger, faster, sharper, more committed, not because the world changed, but because you did. And when you rise, don't hesitate. Walk into your day like it belongs to you, because it does. You don't wait for miracles. You become the miracle. You don't wait for signs. You are the sign. You don't chase greatness. You embody it. And the world, the people, the places, the chances, the changes, they will begin to respond to this energy, to this alignment, because power never needs to prove itself. It just is. And from this moment on, so are you. You are awake. You are aligned. You are unstoppable. Now rest, dreamer. The work is done for today, and the future is already bending to meet your vision. Sleep, knowing you're already on the path, and greatness is only a decision away. But remember, decisions without reinforcement fade. That's why most people relapse. That's why most people quit. Not because they didn't want it, but because they didn't anchor it. So tonight, let's anchor it. Anchor this clarity, this fire, this alignment. Anchor it into your identity so deeply that even on your worst day, you don't forget who you are. Here's how. You rehearse your future in your mind, in your words, in your habits. Just as an athlete visualizes the game before stepping onto the field, you visualize your becoming before the world sees the result. Close your eyes now and see it. The version of you who lives without hesitation, who wakes up early without force, who honors the plan, who speaks with purpose, who walks into rooms and changes the energy, not because they try, but because they are energy. See that version, hear their voice, feel their posture, smell the space they move through, touch the things they've built, make it real, because your brain does not distinguish between memory and imagination. What you rehearse, you reinforce, and what you reinforce becomes your reality. So tonight, you rehearse excellence, you rehearse discipline, you rehearse the life that doesn't yet exist until it does. And this is not delusion, this is design. This is the same process that guided Edison, Carnegie, Mandela, and Hill himself. See it, speak it, sculpt it. You are not waiting for luck. You are building blueprints, and when the blueprint is clear, the work becomes automatic. That's how you wake up and move without resistance. That's how you eat the food that fuels you, not numbs you. That's how you make the call, take the risk, send the message, because the decision was made long ago in this space, in this silence. This is where the work begins, and the more you honor this space, the more it builds you. This space between the noise and the world is where empires are born. So make it sacred, every night, even 5 minutes. Protect the silence. Don't fill it with screens. Don't clutter it with complaints. Let it shape you, because the world will try to break your rhythm. It will tempt you to rush, to scroll, to scatter, to be busy instead of effective. But not you. You are no longer chasing chaos. You are mastering flow, and flow begins where resistance ends. So drop the resistance, drop the excuses, drop the idea that this has to be hard just to be worth it. What if it could be natural? What if discipline could feel like peace? What if your future doesn't require war? It requires alignment. Because once you're aligned, momentum is no longer something you force. It's something you release. It's already in you. You've just been in your own way. So tonight you step aside. You let go of the doubt, the tension, the need to control every detail, and you trust the direction your heart keeps whispering, even when your mind doubts it. You don't need the whole staircase, just the next step, and the courage to take it. Because courage is not loud, it's not flashy, it's the quiet choice to keep going anyway, to say yes to the thing you're scared of, to say no to what no longer fits, to say I don't know how, but I'll figure it out. That is courage. That is alignment. That is what turns ordinary into extraordinary. And that is what you're doing. You are becoming the kind of person people feel when you walk in the room. The kind of person who doesn't try to lead. They are the example. The kind of person whose life teaches, not by preaching but by living. You are writing that legacy now, not tomorrow, not someday, now. So rest, not because you're weak, but because you've earned this sleep. Your mind is clear. Your breath is calm. Your path is set. The next chapter begins in the morning, but the commitment is made tonight. The commitment is made tonight, and with that commitment, something powerful shifts inside you. You are no longer trying, you are embodying. You are no longer chasing, you are aligning. This isn't about motivation anymore. It's about integration. It's no longer about adding more to your life. It's about removing what never belonged. Because clarity isn't found in complexity. It's found in simplicity, in subtraction, in the quiet decisions to let go of what pulls you away from your center. The people who don't respect your vision, the habits that steal your momentum, the thoughts that feed your doubt more than your destiny. Cut them with precision, with grace, with finality, because you are not here to entertain what drains you. You are here to build what sustains you. And sustainability comes from rhythm, not extremes, not all or nothing, but rhythm, the daily cadence of a life built with intention. You wake, you move, you create, you learn, you rest, you do it again. You don't sprint toward burnout. You walk toward mastery, because mastery doesn't come from what you do once with intensity. It comes from what you do every day with intention. The words you speak, the food you eat, the content you consume, the company you keep, the standards you uphold when no one's watching. That's what builds you. And most people never build because they're too busy chasing the next rush, the next hack, the next shortcut, the next burst of inspiration. But you are learning to stay to stay with the process, to stay with the plan, to stay in the fire long enough for the gold to emerge. Because transformation isn't quick, it's not loud, it's not convenient, but it is worth it. It's worth the repetition, it's worth the solitude, it's worth the silence that most run from. Because that silence, this silence, is where your real voice begins to rise. And that voice is not soft, it's not unsure, it's sovereign. It says, I am no longer waiting for permission. I am no longer lowering my frequency to fit in. I am no longer apologizing for my fire. I am not better than anyone, but I am done being less than myself. This is your soul speaking. This is your inner world being rebuilt, word by word, thought by thought, decision by decision. And when your inner world changes, the outer world follows, not instantly, but inevitably. Because reality bends to the energy of the builder who won't quit. And that's you now. You don't quit. You adjust. You recalibrate. You recommit. You rise. And even when you fall forward. Every scar becomes a sentence in your story. Every delay becomes fuel for your discipline. Every challenge becomes the gym where your mindset lifts more than most will ever carry. And that's why you rest tonight in peace. Because you know, the work you've done in silence is louder than anything the world could say. You've already won, not because the results are here yet, but because you refuse to quit. You refuse to betray yourself again. That's the victory. And when you open your eyes in the morning, you'll remember that you didn't drift off in fear. You stepped into sleep with certainty. Because you've chosen the path that builds you, not the path of least resistance, but the path of most alignment. You're done performing. You're done conforming. Becoming the kind of person who does not need rescue, because they remembered they were the answer all along. You are not behind. You are beginning, and beginnings are sacred. So sleep deeply tonight. Let the lesson settle. Let the vision sink in. You have planted something eternal, and the roots are growing. The roots are growing. Beneath the surface, beneath the noise, beneath what the world can see, because real growth is invisible at first. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't ask for credit. It simply begins, deep within, until one day it breaks through, and everyone asks, how did it happen so fast? But you know better. You know it wasn't fast. It was focused. It was built in quiet moments like this, in the discipline no one saw, in the effort no one clapped for, in the sacrifices no one understood. This is the truth of mastery. It is lonely before it is admired. It is heavy before it becomes ease. It is questioned before it is copied. But still you build, you rise, you return, you refine, and that rhythm creates something more powerful than motivation ever could. It creates certainty, because the person who acts in certainty moves differently. They don't chase, they attract. They don't beg, they decide. They don't react, they respond. With wisdom, with clarity, with power. That's who you are becoming now. Not someone who's always on, but someone who's always aligned. Someone who has trained their nervous system to stay calm in the storm. Someone who has trained their mind to default to solutions instead of panic. Someone who has trained their heart to stay open, even after it's been bruised. Because strength isn't in the armor, it's in the openness. It's in the ability to stay soft and steady in a world that hardens most people. And that softness, that presence is your superpower. Because when you're present, you can choose. You're no longer a slave to the past. You're no longer a victim of distraction. You are in the now. And the now is where all power lives. You can't rewrite yesterday. You can't control tomorrow. But you can choose this moment, this thought, this breath, this response. That's all you need. Because when you master the moment will multiply. And suddenly, you're living a life made of moment after moment of aligned choice. That's how transformation happens, not by flipping a switch, but by shifting the pattern, one choice at a time, one belief at a time. Beliefs are the blueprint, and yours are changing now. You no longer believe you're behind. You believe you're exactly where you need to be. You no longer believe you're not ready. You believe you are the preparation. You no longer believe you need permission. You believe you are the permission. And that belief becomes behavior. And that behavior becomes identity. And that identity becomes destiny. This is not philosophy. This is physics. Cause and effect. Thought becomes action. Action becomes pattern. Pattern becomes power. So let the right thoughts stick. Let them sink into your bones. I am worthy. I am responsible. I am focused. I am enough. Not because I've done it all, but because I've decided to keep showing up. no matter what comes, no matter who doubts, no matter how long it takes, because what I'm building isn't for today, it's for the timeline of my life. And I'm not here for short-term applause. I'm here for long-term alignment. So I plant deep, I build slow, I move forward with peace, and I sleep knowing I am on the path, not a perfect path, but a true one. And that is more than enough. A true path doesn't need to be perfect. It only needs to be yours. It doesn't need approval. It doesn't need a guarantee. It needs your presence, because the greatest power you will ever hold is the power to stay. To stay when it's hard, to stay when you're doubted, to stay when the dream feels far and the progress feels invisible. Staying isn't weakness, it's spiritual endurance. It's what separates those who get results from those who just get distracted. And in this world, with its noise, its speed, its dopamine traps, distraction is the real thief. Not time, not talent, distraction, but now you see it, and what you see, you can change. So no more casual scrolling through your destiny. No more letting urgency steal what's important. No more letting the external world dictate your internal rhythm. From this moment forward, you lead. You lead your thoughts. You lead your schedule. You lead your energy. Because if you don't, someone else will. And they won't lead you toward greatness. They'll lead you toward comfort, toward consumption, toward the average. But you're done with average. You've already buried that identity. And now, you are rising. Not rising in volume, but in vibration, in the way your energy walks into a room and shifts it, in the way your silence says more than others' noise, in the way your consistency rewrites what's possible for everyone watching you, including your future self, because someone is always watching. Your children, your friends, your team, your younger self, your future self. And every time you show up, even when it's hard, even when it's quiet, you're telling them, it can be done. You're saying, you can become more than they ever expected. You can break the cycle. You can rise from anything, because I did. This is legacy, and legacy is not what you leave behind. Legacy is what you live through. Every choice, every value, every ripple you send into the world with how you carry yourself. And you are becoming a force of legacy, because you are not chasing an outcome. You are embodying a new standard. And when you live at that standard, even in silence, even in solitude, the world shifts around you. Your boundaries shift, your energy shifts, your impact expands. And not because you tried to change others, but because you changed yourself. That's the secret no one wants to hear. You can't change the world until you change your world. You can't fix your circumstances until you fix your focus. You can't rise above your situation until you rise above your excuses. And tonight you've done that. You've chosen silence over chaos. You've chosen wisdom over noise. You've chosen clarity over comfort. And now you rest in that power. You rest knowing you didn't wait for change. You became the change. You didn't ask the world to shift. You shifted, and the world will follow. Not all at once, not with fireworks, but slowly, steadily, inevitably. Because when you walk in truth, truth makes a way. So sleep now, not just to recharge, but to integrate. Let the thoughts you've heard tonight become the floorboards of your tomorrow. Let your identity settle into this new foundation. Let the breath remind you, you are alive, you are aligned, you are in motion, and motion is all you need. Because once you're in motion, the universe takes notice, not because of noise, not because of scale, but because of alignment. The universe responds not to effort alone, it responds to truth. When your effort is aligned with your soul, the path clears, the right people arrive, the right ideas unfold, the right opportunities emerge, and it will feel like magic, but it's not. It's the reward of alignment. It's the echo of your inner work, made real in the outer world. This is what it means to live on purpose. You don't wait for moments of inspiration. You become the inspiration. You don't wait for clarity. You generate it through movement. And when resistance shows up, because it will, you remember. You remember who you are. You remember what you've built. You remember the nights like this, when everyone else was asleep, and you chose to build in silence. That's what makes you unstoppable. Not motivation, not talent, not resources. Remembrance. When you remember your why, you will find your way, no matter how hard, how long, or how lonely the road becomes. You don't need guarantees. You don't need applause. You need resolve, and you have that now. It's in your voice, in your walk, in your thoughts, in your stillness, and tomorrow it will be in your actions. Because the future doesn't change when the clock strikes midnight. It changes when you do, and you've already begun. That's the truth. That's the moment. That's the reason you'll win. Not because you're better, but because you've decided. I will not let my story be written by fear. I will not let my identity be defined by the past. I will not let my potential rot in excuses, in hesitation, in half-lived days. I will live fully, boldly, now. That's the decision. And with that decision, you sleep, not as someone who's tired, but as someone who's ready. Let every breath now draw you deeper into trust. Let every heartbeat echo your new rhythm. Let your body remember you are safe now, safe to dream, safe to believe, safe to become. The future is not a mystery, it's a mirror, and tonight you've made it reflect something extraordinary. So rest, builder, rest, leader, rest, dreamer. The world needs you, not the masked version, not the afraid version, the real you, the one who no longer waits, the one who no longer asks, the one who wakes up every morning with fire in the soul and steel in the spine. You are that person now, and when the sun rises, so will you, not because you have to, but because you get to, because life is not a burden, it's a blank canvas, and you are the artist. So sleep tonight not to escape, but to restore, because when tomorrow comes, you won't just wake up, you will arrive. You will walk back into the world with eyes wide open, head held high, and a heart so full of conviction that everything around you must evolve. That is what's possible now, because you remembered the truth. You are not broken. You are building. You are not late. You are just starting. And the world, it hasn't seen the best of you yet. Good night.